Man, my heart's beating. That was... Would the representatives for David Fry please come to the stage, Alex Young and Sister Elizabeth Fry Gibson.
David Fry of Halifax left a legacy in the swimming community during his 40 years as a swim coach in Nova Scotia.
I can recall so many workouts where it was almost impossible to get out of the swimming pool because of the sets that he had put us through. And one particular workout, I think we did over 10,000 meters, and it literally brought the entire team to tears. But it was one that I think bonded the team and brought us together. And it's still a memory that everyone shares today. Every time we meet one another, it's probably the first memory that we want to share because it was such an interesting and challenging experience that he set out for us.
Well, I think David was very good at galvanizing a team and bringing a team together, but also being able to coach everybody as an individual. He could. He almost had a talent of being able to provide feedback to athletes that would make them both laugh and cry at the same time.
And as a person on that team, you wanted to excel. You wanted to perform for David because you had such a respect for him. And so it almost like once you were able to see the passion that he brought, it kind of invoked an inner passion in your own approach to swimming. The way he carried himself, he was so respectful to every single person on the team. It didn't matter if you were, going for the gold at CIUs or you were literally just trying to set a personal best at the Atlantic Championship.
As head swim coach with the Dalhousie Tigers for 13 years, he was named Dalhousie University's Varsity Coach of the Year 5 times and Canadian University Swimming Coach of the Year twice.
We were able to demonstrate that we could swim with some of the best in the country, and obviously David had them believe that they could too.
Again, it changed the landscape for all swimmers in the region and gave us confidence that we can compete against those large clubs in Toronto and Calgary and Vancouver. And so I really think of David almost as the godfather of swimming in Nova Scotia and really for Atlantic Canada, and for what he accomplished and what he and the tone that he set for so many swim clubs. And it's really just a story of passion and a focus on excellence that is really still unparalleled today. David would ask us early on in the swimming season to come in and share with him the goals that you had for the entire season. And so you'd sit down and you'd review, what times you'd hope to accomplish, and then you'd engage in a dialogue. And it was almost like David could see the entire season unfolding the way he spoke. And it was almost like he had a sixth sense of where you could push your limits and how the team was going to accomplish its goals. And I think when you finished those goal-setting sessions with David, you just felt like such motivation to be part of this team and to swim for him, and that you had an honest belief that you were going to be able to accomplish all of those things.
So he recognized, and I think they recognized, that he was coaching student athletes, not just swimmers. He coached the whole individual. He didn't regard them just as a ticket, if you like, for improving his credibility. He wanted to educate and develop individuals, but as people, not just athletes.
David is responsible for coaching 3 athletes to the Olympics: David Sharp, Kira Aitken, and Hall of Famer Marie Moore.
David's record obviously speaks for itself. There's not a lot of coaches out there that can claim the type of success that David has. He literally won 30 out of 32 titles in Atlantic Canada over about a 16-year period, which I'm sure is unprecedented and can only really truly be described as a swimming dynasty. It built a reputation, obviously, in Atlantic Canada, but really across the country that is still, I think, paying off huge dividends for the DAL program today.
He has been honored as Swim Nova Scotia's Coach of the Year twice.
I'm not sure all that really mattered to David. I think he looked at his accomplishments at one swimmer at a time. And for him, setting a personal best for someone who maybe was an all-star in age group swimming, who found swimming again in university, really, I think, created as much satisfaction for David as winning the Coach of the Year. So it was I think there's many accomplishments, but for David, I think there were small personal accomplishments that meant the most to him.
David was also head coach of the Dartmouth Crusaders for 12 years, head coach of the Nova Scotia Canada Games swim team for 3 years, and learning facilitator for Swimming Canada for 16 years.
David really understood that there was life after swimming, and that once you were done swimming, what was the next step? A lot of athletes, a lot of swimmers, once they're done their sport or swimming, they don't know what they're going to do with themselves. They end up being a little bit lost and floundering maybe in life. But David really looked out for everybody and made sure that you had a plan, you had a life plan. So, when you were graduating university or when you were retiring from swimming, what were going to be your next steps in life? What were your next goals? And he really looked out and cared to hear what was happening in people's lives. On the side, David, he ran a lot, and he was very dedicated to running. And, he never missed a day of running. He was very strict in what he, in what he did outside of the pool. And I think that made him, very passionate and very dedicated with every single thing that he did.
And I think, when you see someone like that put so much hard work and so much passion into what they love, it's almost, really carries beyond the world of swimming. And it develops you as a person to realize that's the way everyone should attack their passions in life.
He was a great mentor to our other coaches, and I still hear it from coaches on a regular basis.